All right, welcome back into another Wednesday podcast edition of the YouTube channel with JaVon. The NFL season is back. The NFL season is finally here. We finally have NFL football to talk about, and I couldn't be more excited. As much as I love the offseason and I love the predictions and I love talking about what we think is going to happen, nothing beats watching actual football. And nothing beats overreacting to week one of the NFL season. We might do that today. There might be some teams that JaVon's overreacting to. There might be some teams that I'm overreacting to. Because today we are playing a little game of Panic Meter. I have 7 NFL teams written down that we're going to talk about. Some based on our preseason predictions about how we feel about the team. Some that are obviously just big news teams. On a scale of 1 to 10, we're going to go through and talk about how panicked we are on these teams. And number one, would it be an NFL podcast video if 1 week after they open up the season 0-1, we didn't pose the question, how panicked are you about the Kansas City Chiefs?
Oh, you want me to go first, or you gonna go first?
No, you could go first. 1 to 10. Where you at?
So for me, I would say, see, we've been texting, and you said there may be a chance you could panic a little, and I had like a rebuttal to that, like, oh
Yeah.
yeah, they've been to the Super Bowl, however, so many times. But honestly, bro, I think I'm gonna give them a 5. To be honest, I'm gonna give
That's
them.
exactly where I am too. I'm exactly a
Yeah,
5 out of 10 on the panic meter for the Kansas City
yeah.
Chiefs.
Now, granted, right after the game, I had it at like a 2, like it was really low. But I'm like, man, rewatched the highlights of the game. I didn't rewatch the whole game, but I rewatched the highlights or whatever. The secondary, like that defense it's not the 2023 defense anymore. That defense no
No.
longer exists. I mean, DeAndre Hopkins left them and went to Baltimore. He's making one-handed catches. The
Yep.
receiver room just banged up now, man. And it's been like this. It seems like it's the same story over and over again. And like, it seems like they always get it together when playoffs come around, but I don't think they can play around this season no more with this division, even with your Broncos looking the way they look. And
Yeah.
who knows, man?
The Broncos certainly benefited from playing the Tennessee Titans in week one
Yeah.
compared to some other teams. But for me, I had the Kansas City Chiefs at a 5 out of 10. And I think it's important to put that in context. I have them as a 5 out of 10 on the Kansas City Chiefs panic meter. I think that Kansas City with Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid, and Spags will certainly be in the playoffs one way or another, whether it's winning the division or being a wild card team. But when I look at this Chiefs roster, man, and I look around the rest of the AFC, I just wonder if we're at that point where it's finally a down year for the Chiefs, where maybe they're not even in the conference championship game. And it really has nothing to do with Patrick Mahomes. I've seen some people that Josh Allen's better than Mahomes now, Lamar's better than Mahomes. Mahomes is the third best quarterback in the league. And I don't think any of that's the case at this point in time. I didn't watch that Friday night game and think, man, if only Patrick had played better, they would have won. Mahomes missed a couple deep ball throws, but he also made some crazy plays that I think only Patrick Mahomes can make too. That throw that he picked up on third down where he was just straight up horizontal. He
Oh,
really was rushing the whole time. He was the Chiefs' leading rusher with 57 rushing yards. But
that's a problem.
this is part of my point. When I look at the offense, it's not two-dimensional. Isaiah Pacheco has to absolutely be better. They have to have a real rushing attack. When I look at the offensive line, it's only week one, but the same problems that plagued them in the Super Bowl and the reason that game was as lopsided as it was plagued them in this game here too. The Chargers have a good defense. I don't think it's a great defensive line, and it was pressure, pressure, pressure on Patrick Mahomes over and over again. The receiving options, Xavier Worthy now with a dislocated shoulder. You still have Rashee Rice out for another 5 weeks. Travis Kelce said that he thought that he elevated back to where he was 2 years ago. I didn't see it on the eye test. And then when you flip around to that defense, the Chargers have a good offensive line, but Rashawn Slater was out, and Kansas City still wasn't getting any pressure on Justin Herbert. That was the cleanest pockets that I saw, I think, of any primetime game this week, truthfully.
Yeah.
And that secondary was getting dotted up. Justin Herbert is good, and I think the Chargers receiving court is decent with McConkey, Keenan Allen, and Quentin Johnston, but it's by no means the best weapons core in football, yet Justin Herbert looked like an MVP against Spags in that defense in Kansas City. So it's really everything outside of Patrick Mahomes. But when I watch that Chiefs play in a vacuum of what we know, you know, put what we know about Patrick Mahomes and the Chiefs' success to the left, this is just not as good of a team as it's been in past years.
Yeah, man. I mean, that's on both sides of the ball, and it's kind of crazy because you got Patrick Mahomes kind of playing hero ball to a certain extent pretty early in the season. You
Yeah.
don't typically see that this early, but who else is going to run the ball? Like you said, he was the leading rusher, and when you have players like Juju Smith-Schuster, Travis Kelsey, Hollywood Brown. Those are really all intermediate guys or short yardage guys, catch and run guys. Especially, I mean, Hollywood Brown is a deep threat. Don't get me wrong, but most of their passes on Friday night were short to intermediate passes, which was why Patrick Mahomes got so many passes batted down in the fourth quarter, and that played a big role as well. They were kind of getting to Patrick Mahomes, man.
Yeah, the offensive line giving up bat downs, giving up pressures, not developing anything in the run game. And, the Chiefs retooled that offensive line this offseason. And offensive line is usually one of those things that takes the longest to come together. So, again, by no means am I writing the Chiefs off. I still think they're going to be a playoff team. I'm sure they'll get there on the strength of Mahomes and Andy Reid alone. But in terms of Kansas City making it back to yet another Super Bowl, to me, it does not feel like they're the best team in the AFC anymore. And for that reason, I would be a 5 out of 10 on the panic meter of, hey, as a Chiefs fan, you've been so used to just a guaranteed trip to the AFC Championship, and it's based off of just week one. This doesn't look like an AFC Championship caliber team to me.
I mean, the AFC Championship is literally a down year for them. So, I mean, them not making the AFC Championship would be the worst season. Is that the worst season in the Patrick Mahomes era?
It would be this. This could be the worst season in the Patrick Mahomes era, and they could still make the divisional round of the playoffs. Both of those things can be true. And if they start off 0-2 and lose to Philly, which we don't do picks on this show, but based on what I saw on Friday, I have no reason to believe that offensive line is going to be able to stop Philly's defense. I mean, Philly, I think we all agree, has a better defensive front than the Chargers, especially now that we know Jalen Carter's not suspended for that game. And you look at the clean pockets that Justin Herbert had, and his weapons were able to get open. Well, A.J. Brown, Devonta Smith, and those guys should probably have some good success too after a down week one. To me, the Chiefs could start 0-2 for the first time since 2014. That's never happened as Patrick Mahomes as the starter. If that happens, there's certainly reason to panic.
I mean, if they get blown out, then it's like, okay. If they get blown out again, now that's a problem. But when you think, I just don't see 2 out of the 3 games Andy Reid is playing the same team and he just gets dominated in both games.
I'm not sitting here predicting a domination, but
it's possible.
If you asked me to pick who would win, I would pick Philly based off of what we know and what we've seen so far.
They just won the Super Bowl,
right?
And they are the better team. So, that does make sense. But what they do got going for them, Marion Hampton did kind of get shut down. Saquon Barkley in the Super Bowl a couple months ago. I do still
think Kansas City has a great run defense, absolutely.
Yeah, even though Chris Jones wasn't his usual self and that pass rush wasn't his usual self, that run defense still was legit. So that's one thing they do got going for them headed into week 2, at least.
There's still absolutely pieces, and once you get Worthy and Rice back out there in an offensive line that figures it out, that's why I'm not picking Kansas City to miss the playoffs. I think they'll be fine, but I have them as a 5 out of 10. Just purely on the fact that on a Chiefs scale, I think that there's some reason for pause and concern that Patrick might not be able to just elevate these guys to an AFC championship. Moving forward to a team that I think both of us predicted to be a pretty big force in the AFC, a team that lost on Sunday Night Football, a team that I wasn't going to include on this list, but you went to bat and said that we should talk about them if we're talking about Kansas City. The
Yeah.
Baltimore Ravens, man, after the 41-40 collapse of a loss on Sunday Night Football, they blew a 15-point lead in the fourth quarter. I forget what it was specifically stat wise, but that loss, teams that were trailing by that many points with that amount of time left were, I believe, 3 and 2,300 in the history of the National Football League or something crazy like that. So, um, you know,
Wow.
a record, a historic collapse again for the Baltimore Ravens. So, on a scale of 1 to 10, how panicked are you on Lamar Jackson, John Harbaugh, and the Baltimore Ravens?
I mean, I'm a 7.5. I don't know if you could do a point 0.5 system, but
Sure.
I'm 7.5. I'm not gonna lie. It's like they keep inventing different ways to lose games. And I don't know why it's not really. I mean, it's not Lamar's fault every single time, but like I don't understand how Ravens fans, especially, are not like alarmed right now. Nobody's watching the Ravens for the regular season. So when it comes to the regular season, yeah, okay, maybe it is a 1 on the panic meter. But in the grand scheme of things, how can you not say that them blowing a 16 or man, they had 19 points going into the fourth quarter and ended the game. Like that is a meltdown on both sides of the ball.
Yeah.
Derrick Henry, the last 12 minutes had like -6 yards. In the last 12 minutes of the game where you're supposed to be running the clock out, he had -6 yards.
So they
So
lose the fourth quarter 22-6 after not giving up more than 7 points in a single quarter the entire game to Buffalo. For
it's
perspective.
insane. It is literally insane. And we can't act like this hasn't happened before because when the Baltimore Ravens lost in Derrick Henry's first year there, or no, not his first year, the year before Derrick Henry got there, they were saying, "Oh my gosh, we leaned on Lamar too much. We didn't run the ball against the Kansas City Chiefs. That's why we lost that playoff game." And then they added Derrick Henry the next year. But we can't act like we haven't seen these mistakes before, like we haven't seen a meltdown like this before. And it happened again against a great quarterback. And it's situational. It's situational football. It was 4th and 2, and you took the ball out of your best player's hands, both of them. So
Yeah. I
what?
thought
Like,
that was coaching malpractice.
yeah,
I thought to not go for it on that fourth down and on second down to call a jet sweep to Zay Flowers. So
that might have been crazy.
multiple plays, you're just not letting Lamar Jackson dictate the outcome of that game. I thought that was some really insane stuff from Harbaugh. For me, I'm a 2 out of 10 on the panic meter for Baltimore. The 2 comes from the fact that they're going to be in a high leverage spot again at some point in the playoffs. That to me, this is no doubt. Both of these teams are going to make the playoffs. I think they're both the 2 best teams in the AFC. I think based on what we saw from Week 1, this could very well be an AFC Championship game. And it was fantastic. And
It
every part
was.
of me after watching that game on Sunday prays that we get it again in January. Because, I still think Patrick's the best quarterback in football, but Josh and Lamar are the 2 most entertaining quarterbacks in football.
Oh
And to
yeah,
watch them go head to head, I will take that 7 days out of 7, twice on Sundays. Like, give it to me any week that you want. However, the only part of this that's concerning to me is that, and we talked about this going into the season, this is another time in this spot against one of the 2 premier AFC teams that Baltimore just comes up a little short, and another time that it's because of their own letdown.
yeah.
We saw it in the playoff game that Lamar had a bad first half in that playoff game. It kind of gets swept under the rug, but that happened. And then Mark Andrews with the fumble, the drop 2-point conversion last year to open up the season against Kansas City. They lose by mere inches of Isaiah Likely's foot. They lost in
That
the
was
AFC
crazy.
Championship the year before that. So a lot of these high leverage primetime spots, we see Baltimore lose. Now, granted, Baltimore beat the brinks off of Buffalo in the regular season last year,
Oh
and
yeah.
then we saw that playoff game the way it was. So that's why I'm not putting too much stock in this. I still think Baltimore has a top 1 roster on paper in the AFC. I still think that Lamar Jackson looked like an MVP candidate in this game. The man had 144.4 passer rating. Derrick Henry had 170 rushing yards, averaging 9.4 per carry, 2 touchdowns. Zay Flowers looked like a legit wide receiver 1. Both of these defenses got shredded, and unless we see it again in the coming weeks, I'm going to kind of just chalk it up to, yeah, well, you face Josh Allen, you face Lamar Jackson. That's the type of shit that's going to happen to you. So we're differently here, but we came to the same conclusion. The point where it's concerning is we can't trust Baltimore in high leverage spots.
I mean, yeah, the only benefit of the doubt I'm gonna give them is that this was week 1. If this was week 12, man, I might have had this at a 10. I don't know. Like if this was later, I'm serious. If this was later in the season, in week 1, these teams, this is week 1, new players for new plays. The only thing about not Xavier Worthy, but Zay Flowers is he was dominating in that game. So the jet sweep, maybe they were like, you know what? He was having his career night, basically. I think that's the most receiving yards he's ever had in the game. So maybe Harbaugh trusted giving him the ball in that spot. But there's a lot of factors, man, that I don't know. 6 games ago, the Ravens lost a game to the Steelers because of a Derrick Henry fumble. Before that, he hadn't fumbled in like 1,000 carries. And now they lose another game because of a Derrick Henry fumble. Justin Tucker is not on the Ravens anymore. Didn't they miss an extra point? Like the kicking is not stable as well. It's just so many factors I don't think people are really, really talking about,
I think your points are all valid. I think for me, kind of like you mentioned, it's week 1.
Yeah.
It's the Bills. It's Josh Allen. I don't think any other team wills their way to that comeback in that spot besides maybe Philly. Maybe Mahomes could get it done as well with how talented he is. But I just think when you look at Baltimore, 9 out of 10 times they win that game. Obviously, it was the 10th time, and obviously it feels like we're always seeing that 10th time with Baltimore, which is why my panic isn't 0 out of 10. If I thought it was just a one-off fluke, I'd be like, yeah, 0 out of 10. Fantastic game. Keep it pushing. We'll see you in the playoffs. The reason I'm 2 out of 10 is just because we've seen it so much from Baltimore, but I almost think getting it out of the way in the regular season maybe is nice.
I mean, they're always losing games like this early. Wasn't it the Raiders last year?
They lost to the Raiders, but it was the Chiefs game that was close. But yeah, Baltimore, we did our playoff predictions, and I had them losing in the divisional round to Kansas City, even though that they had home field. And my logic for that was kind of the logic we were going to see in this. So maybe I'm just so numb to this from Baltimore because I kind of expected that my panic's a little lower, but it certainly wouldn't sit right with me if I was a Ravens fan. Now I want to move on to the team that I think maybe I'm having the biggest overreaction to, and I don't know if I'm really having an overreaction. I've tried to talk to myself and be like, hey, are you overreacting too much to week 1? But it's just my gut of how I feel. The next team on this list is the Detroit Lions, and I'm going to start it off here. My panic for them is at a 9 out of 10. I only am 1 away from 10 out of 10 because there's still so much talent on this roster. It's the only sliver that I'm giving this team of hope right now, but they looked so garbage in week 1. They looked like a unmotivated, mentally defeat team in week 1. They did not play good football. And of all 4 teams in the NFC North, they look to me as by far the worst team. And some of it is the Packers have an excellent roster. And I'm willing to hear you out on Green Bay is a Super Bowl contender. Micah Parsons, clearly his impact was felt throughout that game. He was responsible for Jared Goff throwing that interception in the first quarter, getting the pressure in his face. He sacked him. He helped Zadarius Smith get a sack with a pressure. Like Micah Parsons' presence and handprints were all over this football game. But top to bottom, this was bad from Detroit all around. Jared Goff was 31 of 39 passing. That might be the fakest stat that I've ever seen because 10 of those receptions were to Jahmyr Gibbs for a total of 31 yards. That is the lowest amount of yards ever on 10-plus receptions in NFL history. So of Jared Goff's 31 completions, 10 of them were basically for nothing. His 52.8 QBR rating, that tells you where Jared Goff was at. And it's not just, Goff behind a bad offensive line without Ben Johnson is going to take some time to figure out because Ragnow and Zeitler both gone. Ben Johnson gone. But the Lions, what's their bread and butter? Running the football. David Montgomery, 11 for 25, 2.3 yards per carry. Jahmyr Gibbs, 9 for 19, 2.1 yards per carry. This is a team, and the Green Bay Packers, who just traded away Kenny Clark. They just traded away their interior defensive line. And Nigerian Cooper was an absolute beast in this game. Like they have good linebackers, but this, to me, I don't see on paper as the best run defense in football. Maybe we'll grow to learn that throughout the season, that the Packers are just godly on defense, and this was a one-off. But everything that I saw, Amon-Ra St. Brown, 4 for 45. Jameson Williams, fresh off an extension, 4 for 23. And you look at their defense, 0 sacks, only 2 tackles for loss, 2 quarterback hits, compared to Green Bay, who had 4 sacks, 9 tackles for loss, 9 quarterback hits. You were just outplayed, out-physicaled, which is something that the Lions prided themselves on for years under Dan Campbell. This looked like a team that was lost without Ben Johnson and Aaron Glenn, and lost their identity with Ragnow and Zeitler leaving. To me, the panic is up in arms, and the reason it's so much higher is, man, Jared Goff without that clean pocket. Jared Goff is a top 5 quarterback in the sport if there's no defensive line being played. But, man, you let pressure start seeping in, and Jared Goff quickly falls out of that top 15.
That's real talk, man. And honestly, my meter is at a 6. That's the only reason. On paper, man, it's damn near the same roster as last year. I mean,
I get it.
The coordinators might play a way bigger role than anybody could have suspected in this case. Because you look on paper and you're like, man, St. Brown, okay, Jameson Williams, Jahmyr Gibbs, Montgomery. I mean, still, they should still be balling, man. But I don't know. The Packers defense, or the Packers in general, punched them in the mouth on both sides of the ball.
Over and over again. The Lions didn't fight back.
Yeah. I mean, Jared Goff, man, last season, the MVP talks, man. When I heard this man getting put in MVP talks, that wasn't even the first time he's been put in MVP talks. But he's a quarterback where every single thing has to be perfect. Not all right, not decent. Everything has to be perfect for him to play well, And when everything isn't perfect, he becomes a check down merchant. Those 10 catches by Jahmyr Gibbs were not halfback screens. Those weren't designed. Those were just check down. Those were just check downs. Like, oh my gosh, I don't know what to do. Check down, Jahmyr, do something with your talent.
Got to get rid of the ball.
Yeah, I mean, and that's why his completion percentage on paper looked good. But, man, I don't know what his yards per completion was or his yards per pass attempt was.
5.8.
Yeah, like he did not push the ball downfield at all. When you have Amon-Ra, a Laporta, a Jameson Williams who can stretch the field, maybe this is a Packers defense. We got to give them credit because they definitely did smack them in the mouth. But this looked like an unprepared and a soft team. They just look like a soft team. They look like the Miami Dolphins.
Soft is the perfect way to describe the way that the Detroit Lions looked. And my panic meter is higher than it would be if they played in any other division. But, man, the Packers obviously just punched them in the mouth and looked like they were a tier above them. The Minnesota Vikings, who won 14 games last year, I thought on Monday Night Football looked like a team that could win 12, 13 games again and actually not have their quarterback crumble in the biggest spots. In fact, J.J. McCarthy elevated in the biggest spot in that game in the fourth quarter
in
with
his
3
first
touchdowns to lead in his first game in 600 days. Yeah. I mean, that's why they drafted him, I felt like. And even the Bears, who lost that game, showed more glimpses of hope than Detroit did in week 1. That first quarter and a half under Caleb Williams, your MVP prediction on him was looking like gold.
Shit, I had to make it a Super Bowl, man. So just like go there. But I mean, I don't know what else you're gonna say about the Lions, but I do know that they do need to. Their alarms need to be going off right now because they got a lot of stuff to take care of this week.
Again, it's something that my friends have told me. Comments already on YouTube videos that I put out where people think that I'm overreacting on the Lions, and pretty typically I try to pride myself on not being clickbaity, not being engagement farming in terms of putting out just fake hyperbolic opinions that are just going to generate comments. But I'm also true to what my thought process is, and I'm very, very concerned on the Detroit Lions. One team that I'm more concerned about, though, is the Miami Dolphins. I'm a 10 out of 10 on the panic meter here, and my expectations going into the season that were Miami was going to be buns. So it's no surprise to me that this team just came out and was trash, but trash against Daniel Jones and the Colts.
Yeah, that's
Daniel
crazy.
Jones looked like a top 10 quarterback in football. Miami might have the worst defense in the NFL. Daniel
we knew that
Jones
though.
had, but Daniel, no, the worst. I mean,
okay,
worst,
secondary at least.
They might have the worst, but their secondary might be so bad that their defensive line doesn't even matter. Daniel Jones had 7 drives total in the game. That's how long the drives were able to be extended, and all 7 of them scored points. And then Tua turnover, who I had to sit there for years now and have people tell me how good Tua is. Week 1 versus the Colts showed his true colors, showed why I have him outside my top 20 quarterbacks. 3 turnovers, 2 terrible interceptions, and a terrible fumble. I think they had, I'm not even kidding, in the first half, it might have been 4 offensive yards. It was so
I didn't even watch
terrible. It was so I watched the whole game. Just trying to see if there was going to be anything different, any glimpse of hope that I could take from it. And there just wasn't. It was so bad. And we just talked about Detroit being soft. And Detroit's been soft for a week. Miami's been soft for years at this point.
Yeah.
This is a team that Mike McDaniel said there was going to be toughness and a change of culture. There wasn't a change of shit. This team is so mentally weak. Tua is not a good quarterback. Tyreek Hill wants to be up out of there. It's the worst secondary I've ever seen. They're terrible at tackling. Like, this Dolphins team is headed for a blow up before Halloween. I think Mike McDaniel is going to be fired. I think Tyreek Hill is going to be traded. And man, you got Tua on that contract, so I guess you're just stuck with that. But this is a disaster.
$53 million. Don't forget
this
that.
This is the worst contract in football.
And that's
Deshaun Watson. But this is the worst. This is the worst contract in football of a playable guy.
Of a starting quarterback.
Yeah.
Yeah, out of all the starters, he has the worst deal right now.
Like, of the Dak overpay, the Trevor Lawrence overpay, like, Tua's is the worst.
Yeah, I mean, and I never agreed with you any more on the take than I do right now.
Are you 10 out of 10 on Miami as well?
I'm 100%. This is over. I mean, and here's the thing. It's not like this team is a new team. They said they were going to try to change their identity to, physicality. They want to run the ball. Ollie Gordon played no factor. He was supposed to be the guy to initiate that. I understand that.
They never got to run the ball. They were down so quick.
I mean, that's true. They never even tried to run the ball. I mean, this is the same offense. This is the same Tua that led the league in passing, was leading the league in passing with these exact same weapons. Mind you, the exact same weapons a couple years ago. So nothing has changed. I just think the relationship with Tyreek, the head coach, everything is just run its course. The roster on offense especially has not changed. But so why is it getting so much worse? You still got some good running backs. You still got the exact same receivers. It's just the injuries pile on after Tua. Tyreek Hill saying I won out. Oh, I was just playing. My fault. Jalen Waddle, ever since his first 2 years in the league, he hasn't even been getting the same target share. And I get it. You got Tyreek Hill and stuff. But they can't even scheme ways for him to get open anymore.
I mean, and this is not like a shot at Jalen Waddle, but he's hurt every game.
He
comes out of every game. Like, he gets hurt once a game minimum. Tyreek, I feel like, gets hurt every other game. A-Chain's pretty injury prone. And listen, these guys are NFL guys, and I'm not out there playing, so I'm not gonna.
They were all on the field though.
I'm not gonna make it like I'm out there taking these hits, but this does go back to the identity of this team being soft. Like, it's just a soft football team. The offensive line is tragic, mind you, by the way. And we all know that we talked about Jared Goff needing a perfect offensive line. Tua to seriously stay healthy needs a better offensive line than this. This offensive line is going to get Tua put on the IR ASAP.
Hey man, that
like this is I'm not even saying that like in a joking way. Like this team is so bad and the offensive line isn't good and the defense is so bad that Tua is at severe injury risk. Do you know what Tua's QBR was in this game?
was it less than 50?
Oh yeah. It was
Really?
less than 5. It was a 2.7 QBR in this game for Tua.
Wow.
2.7.
I don't think I've ever seen that before. I'm gonna be honest. And I've seen the Josh Allen game with the lowest completion percentage ever. When he was 9 for 32 or whatever. I watched that game, and I don't think his was that low.
No, I don't think so either. Like
but
it was a disaster class from Tua. And
I don't even
Dolphins,
think it's Tua. That
oh,
defense.
I think it's all of it.
Yeah.
I think they have a quarterback outside the top 20. I think they have an offensive line outside the top 20. I think they have a secondary outside the top 30. Like I think they might have a head coach outside the top 20.
Wow.
I mean,
really?
I think I'll definitely. I mean, I just don't have my head coaching rankings off the top of my list.
No. I mean, I get it.
I think they have the worst head coach in their division. I mean, I saw one game of Aaron Glenn, and the Jets certainly had more fight in them than the Dolphins ever have. And then
that's
McDermott
an established identity right there.
Yeah, and we're not talking about the Jets today, but we'll throw it in here quick. The Dolphins are going to finish last in this division.
I mean,
I would be shocked if they didn't.
It's so sad. I don't know if you looked at their front seven, but the trades they've made and the draft picks they made.
Their right guard just got hurt.
Yeah, but not only that, the trades and draft capital that they've spent on that front seven for them not to be getting pressure. Bradley Chubb Robinson, like these are players they've spent like real draft capital on. And they're not making an impact at all.
They had 1 sack, 2 quarterback hits, 4 tackles for loss. Like it wasn't the worst thing in the world, but that secondary is just so bad that that front seven is going to have to get home so quick, so immensely quick, or the secondary is going to have to get better. And this is partly Dolphins front office fault too, because it's organizational. Because you bring in Jack Jones and Rasul Douglas so late into the preseason that these guys are still catching up at this point, but they are still your best option because you have nobody. This is why the Jalen Ramsey trade, when it happened, I said it was such a disaster for them. Minka's cool, but at the end of the day, he's your high safety. Everything underneath is going to be wide open.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, he's lost a step as well. So he played these speedy teams, which seems like every team is a speedy team now. They're just going to get ran off the field and pushed off the field as well. I mean,
Tyler Warren looked like Brock Bowers 2.0 in this game.
Yeah, he was hooping.
And like, don't get me wrong, I think Tyler Warren is a guy, but I don't know if he's that guy. I mean, we'll find out as we get through the season. Those were the 4 main teams I wanted to talk about. I got 3 more teams listed here that are kind of more specific to projections that me and you had that I kind of want to litmus test where we're at, because I think some people might be like, why are we talking about some of these teams? It's because the 2 of us both predicted, or one of us predicted them to do very well. I want to start with your New England Patriots, who lost to your Las Vegas Raiders, another team that you believe in. You had the Patriots winning 12 games and winning this division. Where are you at now in terms of your panic on them, and do you think that they could still compete with Buffalo after 1 week?
Man, I'm an 8. I'm not gonna lie. I'm definitely an 8. Drake May. All the flashes I saw last year, I didn't really see any flashes at all. He didn't look like a starting quarterback, if I'm being honest. If I'm being brutally honest, that defense is supposed to be good. That defense, Geno Smith was dealing out there. Oh my God.
362 passing yards for
He
Geno.
was dealing with Jacoby Myers as the wide receiver 1? That's pathetic.
Christian Gonzalez was out.
I don't care.
Don't get me wrong. Christian Gonzalez shouldn't make or break things, but, you know.
I mean, I get it.
And the Patriots, since you made that prediction, cut Jabril Peppers for some reason.
Yeah, he's on the Steelers now. But
Yeah, I know you're happy about it, but in terms of what you thought about the Patriots defense, no
yeah,
Christian Gonzalez and no Jabril Peppers, who we thought were going to be out there when we made predictions of their secondary being good.
yeah, that I mean, Milton Williams. I mean, they didn't really get any pressure on Geno. He was just sitting back there dealing, and that's
I mean,
it is only week one.
I'll say this: the Patriots did get 4 sacks in that game
They
and
did,
10 tackles for loss. Like the
they
defensive
did.
line and 9 quarterback hits. I think like they got home plenty of times. It was just the run game wasn't working. Ashton Genty averaged 2 yards a carry,
On both sides.
so Gino was able to. Yeah, well, the run. This is another conversation. The run game didn't work on New England's side because for some reason, for about a quarter and a half, that team was committed to Ramondre Stevenson being the guy, and it's over, okay? Because Travion Henderson averaged 5.4 yards per carry. That's an elite number, and I expect to see Travion Henderson be the guy. And I think getting a more two-dimensional offense will make things easier for Drake May. But Drake May was inaccurate as hell in that game. He was overthrowing multiple guys, 30 for 46. He had a 39.2 QBR. Like, he just wasn't good. Kayshon Boutte was their number one option.
Yeah.
He actually looked pretty solid, to be completely honest. But ultimately, I'm a 3 out of 10 on the Patriots, but this is also coming from a guy who didn't think the Patriots were going to be an above 500 team or make the playoffs. To me, the biggest concern here was in week 1 against a Raiders defense that maybe we'll learn the storyline is Pete Carroll's a wizard, and this is actually a good unit somehow with a bunch of nobodies on it all of a sudden. But against a defense that I didn't project to be very good, Drake May didn't look very good. And I wonder what Drake May going to look like against some better defensive competition. The Dolphins and Patriots play each other this week, so I better see Drake May looking good in this.
We're going to know a lot about both of these teams after this week, honestly.
If Drake May isn't slinging the rock against the team that just made Daniel Jones a week 1 MVP candidate, then the panic's skyrocketing.
I mean, yeah, and I mean, you got to think by at least week 4, week 5, Travion Henderson has taken over that backfield. That's that's one of the biggest reasons why I had them. If you remember, that was my offensive rookie.
I think Travion Henderson should take over the backfield by week 2 after what we saw
today.
In week 1.
I mean, today he's
Ramondre Stevenson 7 carries for 15 yards, 2.1 yards per carry, a long of 6. Travion Henderson 5 for 27, 5.4 a long of 14. Travion also had 6 catches for 24 yards. When he is their best offensive player. Stephon Diggs in this game was fine, but he's clearly a wide receiver 2 now. Travion Henderson is your number 1 weapon. Will Campbell's got to be better too, man. 2 false starts, 2 sacks allowed. I mean, that offensive line is bad as is, but he is supposed to be the good player on that offensive line.
When you look at the Raiders pass rush, we had questions about it. I mean, they do have a dog over there, but as a whole defensive line, as a whole unit,
I mean, 4 sacks for them as well. Sacks were a plentiful in this game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it's a lot. I know you don't want to talk about the Patriots too long, but I had some very high expectations for them, and I'm definitely have a problem now because Drake May, he has weapons that are supposed to be security blankets, route runners, people they can navigate through the zones. They know they're veterans. They surrounded him with everything he needs. So now it's just up to him, but it's not looking good right now.
No, it's definitely not. I want to move to one of your other teams. We kind of talked about them earlier, the Chicago Bears. They collapsed on Monday Night Football. They were up big going into the half, and J.J. McCarthy leads a massive comeback. Caleb Williams showed off some of his best abilities early on in that game, making Mahomes-esque plays both with his feet and through the air. That running throw while he was running to his right out of bounds to Roma Dunze on the sideline. I think Caleb Williams is on a list of about 4 guys in the league that could actually complete that pass. And then we watched Caleb Williams airmail some wide open receivers that I think about 35 different guys in the league could have made that pass. So I got to know, where are you at on concern for the Chicago Bears after week 1?
I'm gonna say a 6, only because I know they got new head coaching or whatever, but after that Hail Mary situation against Jaden Daniels last year, I saw how quickly things went downhill for that team last year.
Mhm.
And I don't know, man. I'm not sure how like emotionally stable Caleb Williams is. It seems like when he
That's
makes a
fair.
when the going gets tough, it's like he checks out for a quick second and he's just like so hard on himself when quarterbacks are supposed to have a short memory. Killers are supposed to have a short memory. You make a mistake,
He
okay.
looked anxious as hell in that second half.
I mean, and I don't know what to. I'm not panicking on Caleb right now, but it's definitely alarming because I see shades of Trevor Lawrence. Like I can see I'm telling you, I can see a world where 3-4 years from now there's these fans who still believe in Caleb Williams, just like they believe in Trevor Lawrence. But you're like, what has he accomplished? He hasn't accomplished anything. I see that, but I do see a world where he turns it around and he can make a Super Bowl. They did. Their defense was pretty good for the first 3 quarters
Yeah,
without their.
Dennis Allen had that defense looking nice, and that was without
Yeah,
Jalen Johnson and without TJ Edwards for a
yeah.
little while there. So my thought, I have the Bears at a 2 out of 10 on the panic meter,
Okay.
and to me, I'm somebody who was very high on the Minnesota Vikings coming into the season. I had them on my initial tier list as a Super Bowl contender. Got some pushback. I still have them on my tier list as a Super Bowl contender, despite JJ McCarthy at what point he is, because this was a roster that won 14 games last year with Sam Darnold. And I don't know if you guys watched the Seahawks game this week, but it doesn't look like it was freaking Sam Darnold that was the reason that team was winning games. Okay, it looks like
Real
it was
talk.
Kevin O'Connell. It looks like he earned that Coach of the Year award, and they improved both sides of the line. The defensive line looked great. The offensive line looked great for Minnesota. So to me, that was a lot more of a big up Minnesota game, and the process has to be cleaned up for Chicago. But Ben Johnson had kind of been telling us that all preseason without directly saying it. The biggest thing that I noticed was Caleb was anxious and seemed like he was in a little bit of a rush sometimes to get the ball out. Even when he was dealing in the first quarter, that he had a dump off past Monangai, and if he had a clean pocket, if he had just waited a half a second longer, he has Roma Dunze wide open on a post route for about a 40-yard touchdown. He had DJ Moore wide open on a wheel route concept for another 30-plus yard
Yeah.
touchdown that Troy
Sailed it.
Aikman was screaming about. And if Caleb can clean up the process, Ben Johnson's scheming guys wide open. Like
Real talk though.
it's not a talent issue, which is great because you could fix mental. You can't just fix talent in the NFL.
Yeah.
So to me, I'm a 2 out of 10 on the Bears, but again, I'm very high on Minnesota. The Bears go to Detroit this week. So 2 more teams that we're talking about in this video play each other. And if you start off the season 0-2, you have a 12% chance of making the NFL playoffs. So one of these teams, statistically, their playoff hopes pretty much die this week.
I mean,
it's not official, but statistically, if you start off 0-2, you're pretty cooked.
I mean, Caleb, I'm not going to lie. At times, it looked like 2 quarterbacks who were starting their first game, both of them. I'm being honest. Like the throws.
And Caleb, to be fair, third offensive coordinator, and he's in game 18. So,
yeah. I mean, it's a lot of things, but the where I'm optimistic about is the fact that these are things you can clean up. He can watch film. He can watch film. And this team can clean up all the penalties they had as well, because that is another big problem. That cannot be an issue for the entire season. You're not in this division, not with the pass rushers that are in this division. You can't have first and long, second and long, third and 20, third and 19. They got caught in third and long so many times because of these penalties.
Well, they had 120 plus yards in penalties.
Yeah, I mean, it seemed like Caleb wasn't prepared either. You got all of these false starts. You got guys motioning with 3 seconds left before you can snap the ball. I mean, delay
that last
games.
play, the second to last play, where you have 9 seconds to try and get in field goal range, and you basically have enough time to run one play, get out of bounds, and either Hail Mary, or if you get far enough, kick a long-ass field goal.
Yeah.
And DJ Moore gets motioned, and the ball's hiked, and he runs into the ball. And the game's over at that point. Again, a lot has to be cleaned up. I believe in Ben Johnson, but this is why I was skeptical on the Bears this year, because I thought we were going to see these growing pains, especially in a competitive
Yeah.
NFC North. Now, I thought the Lions were going to be better than they were, but whichever one of those teams, the Bears or Lions, that lose the game this Sunday, their playoff shot in the NFC North are dead, in my opinion.
Yeah. I mean, we're
Because I
gonna.
think that they're both the third or fourth best team. I think Minnesota and Green Bay are the top two teams in that division.
I mean, it's starting to look like that early on, 100%. And with this Bears team, man, they definitely gotta get it together, because if you're gonna face the Lions, I mean, you gotta be healthy, you gotta be on your P's and Q's. But these little mental mistakes that Caleb Williams is making, like, you wouldn't think a second year quarterback would be making these mistakes. Granted, you got a new system, a new everything, damn near. But I mean,
Yeah.
now I kind of understand what you were saying about the Bears to a certain extent. This is only game one, but I feel like Caleb Williams was so infatuated on, okay, I don't see nothing, get rid of it, and
Yep.
instead of
He
him
was
doing
real
his,
jumpy in that pocket.
yeah, instead of him being the Caleb Williams that we saw at USC and the spurts of last year, like, I
Yeah.
mean, and we saw shades of that in the fourth quarter where he almost had that long touchdown run.
And I think like there's time. I think that there's time. I think that
Yeah,
selling completely on the Bears would be an overreaction to week one and an
yeah.
underselling of who the Minnesota Vikings are. The last team on here I want to hold myself accountable to, a team that I had pretty high expectations for, the Houston Texans. They lost 14-9 to the Los Angeles Rams. Myself personally, I'm a 3 out of 10 on the panic scale. I knew that this team was likely to start slow at the gate because, like I mentioned earlier in the video, offensive line is one of the harder things to put together, and the Texans had to put together a brand new offensive line. Now, I do have a massive gripe with someone on this coaching staff, or multiple someones on this coaching staff.
Really.
All preseason and practice and training camp, they were running Arante Ursary as their left tackle, and that was kind of their game plan of how they were basing their offensive line around. And then in this game, they changed it, put Cam Robinson at left tackle and Ursary at right tackle to open up the game for some
Wow.
reason. And then Cam Robinson got hurt, so they moved Ursary back to left tackle, and then Cam Robinson came back in the game, so they moved Ursary back to right tackle. So in a rookie's first game, you asked him to play right tackle, right tackle, and stop Braden Fisk and Jared Verse. And ultimately, what do you know? CJ
Yeah.
Stroud was still pretty highly pressured. And their starting center got hurt, by the way, which I still think they'll be all right with Jarrett Patterson, but it's something to note. The panic is still there a little bit because the offense was at the opposite of dynamic. Nico Collins, 3 for 25. Got to get him more involved. CJ Stroud, I think some people are blowing out of proportion the game that he had, because I didn't think he played that much different than Matthew Stafford, yet people are like, look at Stafford, just finds a way to win. Mind you, CJ Stroud was leading a game-winning drive before Daragumawale fumbled on the Rams about 25, 30-ish yard line.
That was bad.
The Texans, if the Texans had won this game 16-14, I think the narrative coming today is, wow, look at the Texans, grinded out win against a team that could have been a Super Bowl contender. The defense is real, and CJ Stroud knows how to make enough plays. Instead, the narrative is, well, looks like Jacksonville's winning that division. So we're one play difference, but there are some real concerns about how dynamic this offense could be. I will say that. I have some real question marks about if this offense can do enough, because that defense was legit.
Yeah.
That defense, I said it all offseason that they had a shot to be the best defense in football. 3 sacks, 5 tackles for loss, 6 quarterback hits. Will Anderson Jr. should have 2 sacks credited to him. I don't know why he doesn't. I think they credited one of them as a TFL for some reason, but it should be 2 sacks for him, 3 tackles for loss, and 2 quarterback hits. Will Anderson Jr. looked like an absolute beast. The Rams did what the Rams do, and to give McVay and Stafford enough credit, they made the plays exactly when they needed to do. And Puka, to your credit, does look like a top 5 wide receiver. I know you had him there on our wide receiver rankings, but Houston, I have some concern as to how much weight early on in this season, they are going to be putting on the back of their defense to keep them in games. They face Tampa Bay on Monday night, could start 0-2 at Jacksonville versus Tennessee. You hope to be 2-2 at least in that first month, but then you got at Baltimore, at Seattle versus the Niners versus the Broncos. So like you better have some things worked out after that first month.
I mean, the defense.
They got time.
The defense is going to keep them in games, but I mean, what? So Joe Mixon is on the IR. He's going to miss 4 games guaranteed.
At least 4 games. I'm hearing rumors of the whole season.
Oh yeah, man. Then they gotta. I don't know if Nick Chubb is gonna cut it. I get it. Like he had to get his whole. I
think Chubb actually did kind of decent.
He did.
He was slow to start, but in that fourth quarter, he had some pretty solid runs. He averaged 4.6 yards per carry, which isn't amazing, and he doesn't have long breakaway bursts, which again goes to the explosiveness and how dynamic this offense could be. But I think like you could settle for that if the passing game was more effective.
What I only say that because when I looked at when the Texans kind of started to get it going last season, or even the last couple of seasons, they really used Joe Mixon a lot in the passing game. So if there's rumors of him potentially missing the entire season, then you got to look at a trade for potentially Breece Hall, maybe one of the backup running backs in Philly, or see what Miami. I don't know, but you gotta look around because Nick Chubb can be that guy. But I mean, you got to establish a good run game, especially.
They drafted a running back, Woody Marks. I wonder if we'll see him more utilized in the passing game.
I mean, he's an okay back. I watched him play a couple games at USC last year. I mean, he's solid, but he's not explosive, you know.
Yeah,
but we'll see.
Where are you at panic meter for the Texans?
Right now, honestly, I'm like at a 3. I'm at a 3.
Yeah.
Their division.
Yeah, again, my thing is I viewed the Rams as a legit Super Bowl contender going into the season, and the Texans lost a 1-score game on the road to them. To me, if this happened in week 6, I don't think anybody would be reacting at all. But I think because it was week 1, some people are kind of jumping to being more reactionary to this game, which, don't get me wrong, it's possible that, me and you are both victim to that based on some of the other games, but I'm not going to jump over them for this one. I would like to see some more fight from them Monday night versus the Buccaneers, though.
The thing with that is, when was the last time we've seen an elite version of CJ Stroud? That's the question. And this season is gonna be CJ. If this team is gonna go as far as CJ Stroud takes them. I know they have a top 3 defense in your opinion or whatever, but CJ Stroud is gonna have to make shit happen, bro. If I'm being honest, he's gonna have to make it happen because
he's got to step up his play.
Yeah, and they spent so much draft capital. They just spent so much assets on giving him the weapons that he wants,
I mean, Higgins was the leading receiver. The problem was the leading receiver at 32 yards.
Yeah, that's really bad. But and it's not like the Rams got killers over there.
I do think the Rams defensive line is actually going to be really solid this year.
Their secondary, though.
Yeah, we'll see where things end up shaking out there. So we're both pretty panicked on Miami, Detroit, midway through on Kansas City. You're pretty panicked on New England and Baltimore. So those were 7 teams that attopped our list of teams that we want to talk about panic meter wise. Be sure to, as always, to give us your thoughts in the comment section down below. Me and JaVon will be back up here next Wednesday talking NFL football. We'll see kind of what happens this week and come up with a new idea, new topics to talk about. If you have any, let us know in the comment section down below. Appreciate you guys' support. Be sure to check out all of JaVon's content. His socials are linked in the description down below. And if you're not already subscribed to this channel, hit that sub button. I'm putting out NFL content. I mean, it might be over 7 times a week at this point. I got primetime game reactions, Monday winners and losers, Tuesday tier list, Wednesday podcast like this, and any breaking news. Grinding out here. We will catch you guys next time. Peace.
Yes, sir.